hi-tec oils, available from Auto One, Sprint Auto Parts, and all leading independent auto stores.
Drifting for me is all about the battle.
It's all about big angle, big smoke, and pushing hard up against the driver's door.
Drifting's become so professional, but it's a spectator sport, and we're all out there to put on a show.
The thing with drift is we all work together. Although we're competitors on the track, off the track we all band together, and that's why I love the sport.
Aussie versus NZ, what better rivalry?
We're out here doing it for Blaze Unit in Australia.
This is the Trans Tasman Drifting Championship. We're from NZ and we're here to win.
Anzac spirit temporarily put on hold as Sydney Motorsport Park plays host to round 2 of the hi-tec oils Trans Tasman Drifting Championship. And hello to wherever you're watching from around Australia or across the ditch over in New Zealand. There's Scott Shemery, one of the hot guys to watch out for here this weekend. But the big news is that the Australian team captain Bo Yates has hurt his engine in qualifying early this morning and unfortunately will not take part. Chad Nalon and Dave Carter joining you for what promises to be another huge hit. Here's the Australian team, and Prosnick and Yates, the big names that unfortunately will get replaced by Levi Clark and Rob Arbolino.
Neither of these drivers are going to disappoint though, Chad. I mean, Rob Arbolino in the last round of the Trans Tasman Championship came out on top of the podium as a sub, but the Kiwis are sure to come out swinging.
Yeah, Darren Kelly, their team captain, is the best from over there, but check out the big name. Yes, Shane Van Gisberg to watch out for as well. Let's hear from some of the stars.
Trans Tasman Series, first battle. Unfortunately, I had a big hit and smashed the wall. Massive hit, probably one of the biggest I've had, but thankfully I got a killer team, man. We got on the tilt track, go back in the pits and pretty much got all the arms changed and got back out there in like 15 minutes. So credit to my team, man. I couldn't do it without these guys.
Had a okay time down at Winton. Had a little issue with the car that I had to drive around. Basically had no third gear, so that compromised my battle. So looking for a bit of redemption today for sure.
Just had some practice sessions here this morning. Only had about 5 laps at Sydney Motorsport Park's South Circuit. Really cool drift section.
What an awesome track. We've been out there for practice, and yeah, seems to flow all right. So it's pretty technical, and I like that. Throwing a big car around like this.
What a track! It really is cool. A lot of elevation, which is something quite a bit different to what we're used to back home.
Kiwi drivers, obviously they're all killer guys. Darren Kelly, he won the championship last year. You got Fenger Dan's been doing it for years. You got Andrew Redwood, man, that car's killer fast. He'll be definitely, I think, one of the scariest guys to be out there against. Will be Redwood. Yeah, his car's crazy fast.
Looking forward to representing Australia. Like a lot of pride involved. Obviously, there's that rivalry between New Zealand and Australia.
It's such an awesome experience, to be able to come over here and do this Trans Tasman Series. It's it's a dream come true, and to bring the car over and to have it going strong with 2 drivers, it's been really reliable, and it's because of our sponsors. That's what makes it happen.
The Australian drivers definitely have a different driving style to us, but yeah, it's more the trust in the drivers, because we're both trying to knock each other's doors, and trying to set it up for this is pretty tricky, so we're just trying to find a happy medium where we can deal with a slow car if we come against a slow car, and just hope that we outdrive a fast car, so that's how we're going to attack today, and yeah, bring on the battles.
So the series that started down in Winton in Victoria in incredibly hot weather has now made the trip north to Sydney Motorsport Park, a fantastic venue for drifting. This is how the points look. Arbolino and Yates populated the final at round 1. Redwood and Shemry pushing them all the way. You may remember Shemry had a very dented and damaged car at the first round. Over the page, and still some big names to watch out for, like Cameron Moat. But it's Alex Sharker, the local, who's going to talk us through the South Circuit.
Today we've been blessed to actually drive at Sydney Motorsport Park. Very rarely we get to drive here, so it's a great track. It's really fast, really grippy. We've actually shortened the start line, so there's no lift at the accelerator. Basically, it's first, second, third gear straight into that corner. We enter that corner approximately 150, 160 kilometers an hour. We got an outside clip where the back of the car has to hit. Then we cut it back in for an inner clip. We switch the car back around for another outer clip. It's a zone there, so you've got to run that as fast as you can. Then another switch on your left, it's an inner clip. Again, full noise all the way up the hill, right to the finish line, which is a right-hand clip once again, and that finishes the course.
And a late call for the Team Kiwi guys. They've brought in the big gun, Shane Van Gisberg, to assist in being their 8th driver. This is how they'll line up for the top 16 battles. Van Gisberg will go up against Levi Clark. So straight away, the Giz is going into the deep end right there. We know Clark is so good on this circuit, and plenty of big ones to watch out for. Interesting to see how Darren Kelly goes against a young star in Matt Hill. Redwood, we know he likes the South Circuit, up against Rob Arbolino. He was victorious at the opening round of the Trans Tasman Championship down in Winton. Okay, time to check out some of the highlights of the top 16. Drew Donovan up against James Abbott.
Jabbett sticking it a little bit too close to Drew Donovan there and making a mistake and going wide. But then across the finish line, Donovan having mechanical issues. Fortunately able to come back out on track after those mechanical issues, put in a bit of a chase run with Jabbett that, although it wasn't as close as we'd like to see, not being as big a mistake as Jabbett made his way through. Big mistake there from Adam Davies, shooting him off into the infield, letting the other Blaze Unit car drive uncontested, with Scott Shembury now chasing Dave Steedman into the familiar first corner of Sydney Motorsport Park South Circuit and walking through to the top 8.
Yeah, Scott Shembury getting the win. He made it to the final 4 at round 1 of the hi-tec Oils Trans Tasman Drifting Challenge at Winton with a very battered and bruised car. Darren Kelly, Matt Hill, we said this would be an interesting matchup to watch. Unfortunately, an error for Matt Hill in the chase run there really handed the advantage over to the Kiwi.
Man, Darren Kelly's car, though, absolutely on point. That 3-litre twin-cam RB roaring up the hill of South Circuit there, and you can see he's really enjoying the track.
And Matty Hill with one hand out saluting the judges on the way through. This is Andrew Redwood, who's so good at building a lead before that first corner. He did the top 16 round of battles against Rob Arbolino, winner of round 1 of the Trans Tasman Drifting Challenge.
Those two drivers actually facing each other on the podium in the round down at Winton. But it seems the decision made earlier in the ladder this time round with Rob Arbolino going through for Australia in the Matooks Racing S14.
So how about that? Arbolino got the better of him at Winton, and here at Sydney Motorsport Park he gets the better of him once again. Hey, Levi Clark and Shane Van Gisberg, and what a monster drift battle that one is. Just a pleasure to watch these two in action from the sky. Perfect lines, perfect angles, and in the end they would give it to Shane Van Gisberg.
It's a real shame because I would have loved to see Levi Clark's car drive through later on in the round. I mean, that thing's got an LS with a turbo the size of your head hanging off the sides of it, and it makes an incredible noise.
Fangadan in the Century Batteries Commodore. This is a real powerhouse car. And Brad Toohey, a couple of big V8s. And Toohey, unfortunately, not getting the nod here. Had to go one more time, and eventually it'd be Fangadan who would take the win. Bad news for the local driver, Brad Toohey.
And Fangadan doing a particularly good job, considering he's not only in his backup car, but he's in another country competing on a track that he's never driven on before. But Brad Toohey is not one to be left behind, especially not in front of a home crowd at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Just about watch these guys do battle all day long. Dan Woolhouse eventually did get the nod, better known as Fangadan, one of New Zealand's best. How's that angle of attack from the Achilles Radials 86? We love that car, but unfortunately one of them had to be put on the trailer. Cameron Moat, he's doing so well in our domestic championship up against Jody Verhulst in that Supra.
Yeah, LS-powered Supra that was actually built over the last 2 months in Perth, particularly to compete in the Trans Tasman Drifting Championship.
And Jody with an absolute monster upset here. Despite the fact that Cameron's in such hot form back over running in our All-Star Series, it was Verhulst that got the nod and went on through. And then we saw Dave Steedman on a bye run, essentially, because Alex Sharker couldn't make it out after sustaining some damage earlier. Then he had that bit of a moment coming up for the second run through. So Steedman got the nod. I tell you what, there's one thing you've noticed from all that. A lot of Kiwis going through to the top 8. And it looks a bit like this. Van Gisbergen versus Shemri. So the Giz with another huge matchup. Kelly versus Arbolino. That's Australia v New Zealand. And then 2 all Kiwi battles to watch out for. But there are some big names gone early. Let's hear from one of them right now.
So we come back this weekend and thought we'd really try and chuck it down, but we've been fighting spark issues all weekend. Just with the new turbo setup from CRG, it's just we're just getting too much heat in under the bonnet. So yeah, we go back to the drawing board there. We finally got it sort of sorted enough to go for a quick run. So we got a spot in the Trans Tasman series, but ended up snapping our diff. So up against Shane Van Gisberg.
Yeah, we saw that battle. It was a bit of an awkward one. Gizzy ran wide and just did a bit of a dirt drop, and you were right next to him. And is that what happened, was it? And just went all out?
Yeah, I didn't even know that he'd ran wide. I sort of just saw his door and was watching his steering angle and tried to tuck up on him. And yeah, he did apologise for the run, but yeah, I didn't notice that he'd done anything wrong. It's just as soon as we got on him, it just let go on us.
We love any opportunity we get to see Australia versus New Zealand. Doesn't matter what kind of sport it is. But today, it's drifting. This is the Hi-Tec Oils Trans Tasman Drifting Challenge, and it looks a bit like this. So we've already seen a couple of big names knocked out. It leaves Shane Van Gisbergen to do battle with Scott Shemri. Jodie Verhulst, she took out a big name in Cameron Moat. Now she's got Fanga Dan. Donovan Steedman, that's an all-Kiwi battle. Arbolino, winner of round 1, has the Kiwi #1 for company, but it's Shemri versus Van Gisbergen where we started off.
Giz sticking right to the rear bumper of Scott Shemri there as they come up over through that final clipping point and across the finish line. Riding on board now is one of the biggest names representing the Silver Fern in international motorsport of any discipline, Shane Van Gisbergen, doing his absolute best to stick behind Scott Shemri of the Blaze unit. Coming through that final clipping point there, it's a haze of smoke and a very difficult job piloting it, and one that Shane Van Gisbergen will now get a chance to do out in front.
There's the angle from SVG on the way in. Oh, and Shemri, big proximity, gets close to the drift syndicate door.
That transition there was absolutely flawless, tucking right into the door of the drift syndicate VE Commodore.
This is the angle I was talking about on approach to that first clip. Look how far the back end comes around, steering whilst looking through the driver's side window. Unbelievable car control, and Shane Van Gisbergen gets the nod in the judges as well, so it's the Gizzies off to the final 4, big scalp.
D1NZ #1 Darren Kelly up against our current championship leader in the Trans Tasman Drifting Championship, Rob Arbolino, driving the Matux Racing S14 and actually coming into this championship as a bit of a sub for one of his teammates, Jabbit, who had a bit of bad luck down at Winton, and looks like he's doing his absolute best to show that he deserves his position in this championship.
They're putting on a pretty good show here. We check out how they began the run once again. Kelly takes the advantages here with the judges, but Arbolino, I think he just let it go towards the end of the run a little bit, lost his momentum. A couple of straighten ups then. Unfortunately, that is where the judges sit, so probably the worst spot to make a mistake, right in front of them.
Definitely, and I'm sure he knows that as much as the audience do. Rob Arbolino now in front with a bit of a lead to catch up on. Both drivers struggling for traction on what is a deceptively steep hill climb through the S-bends of Sydney South Circuit. Bit of a gap there opened up with Rob Arbolino battling away out in front, and listen to this thing.
Tyres screaming, engine screaming, it's Darren Kelly who gets the nod, so that's 2 Kiwis through to the final 4. And we know we're going to get definitely one here because this is an all-Kiwi race.
Dave Steedman out in front of the Mimico S14 has proven himself to be an absolute weapon of a driver over here from NZ, up against Drew Donovan, piloting the second of the Link ECU LS powered. This one's an S14, also his partner Jody's Supra. Both of them driving quite well. In the replay here, you can see that Drew Donovan right out on that outside track edge, while Dave Steedman sticking to the centre line of the track, and I'm not sure that's what the judges are after there.
On the left front, just being lifted a couple of centimetres on the way in. The right rear guard rubbing on the tyre, producing even more smoke. Let's go again.
Both Kiwis struggling a little bit with that technical outside and a spin.
That was extremely close. Steedman doing a great job of missing Donovan. He looped right in front of him. Let's check this moment out once more. Just got away from him on the transition. Nearly caught it. That is very close. And Steedman, thinking on his feet, gets the nod. Kiwi battle here as well. So we're going to have all four in the top four from over the ditch. Fangadan throws it sideways in front of Jody Verhulst, and the Supra just falling away a little bit as they push up the hill.
Let's head to the replay now, and right on board the Century Batteries Commodore with Fangadan. Almost like a slap in the face to the Australians, who aren't able to compete for a single position on this podium, tied up by the Kiwis, Chad.
Unbelievable, isn't it? It's Woolhouse with the advantage. Supra leads the way now. In the hands of one very talented lady, Jody Verhulst. But that is a great chase run. Once again from Fangadan. He looks set to be going through to the top four. The control and the concentration in his face down at the first clip. There's the confirmation the Century Batteries Commodore is going through to the top four in what is an all-Kiwi top four. Congratulations to Dan Woolhouse and to the Team Kiwi lineup. Here's how they'll go through Sydney Motorsport Park for round 2 of the Trans Tasman Drifting Championship. The Gears versus Woolhouse in an all-Holden affair. Steedman and Kelly will line up on the other side of the ladder.
Me and Giz have had a couple of battles in back and home, so yeah, really looking forward to it, man. We've had one each. I've won one, he's won one, so I think it's definitely one to watch, that's for sure.
Just hearing from Fangadan Woolhouse there, who will be going up against Shane Van Gisberg in the top four battle. But first, Dave Steedman up against D1NZ's reigning champion, Darren Kelly, that we're right on board with now in the R34 Skyline.
Driving with a broken hand this weekend. A bit of a workshop accident. Right on board with Steedman. Look at the smoke. Trying to peer through and find just a little bit of real estate where he can put the front end of the Nissan.
That hi-tec oils 34 just absolutely cooks with that twin cam 3-litre RB in there. And you can see Steedman there on that first entry having to correct for what was not quite an aggressive enough entry, and he's just playing catch up here. Lots of bobbles that are really obvious from the roofline there, whereas Darren Kelly absolutely silky smooth through that top section.
Advantage Kelly. From both of them. Oh, and a little straighten up before the finish for Kelly. That could be telling.
It's great to see the aggression of these Kiwi drivers on an unfamiliar track. I mean, Darren Kelly coming in there with a very aggressive entry, but unfortunately a mistake later in the run will put Dave Steedman through to the battle for the top spot in the Mimico S14.
And now we've got this all-Holden affair. Of Kiwi drivers Fantastic first run. How about the chase from SVG?
Absolutely dialed on that handbrake and steering wheel work. An obvious sign of an internationally experienced driver out there just giving drifting a go for a bit of fun and doing damn well at it.
Might I mention wearing his factory McLaren GT3 race suit here this weekend. He's a man of many talents. We know that about the Giz. And here he is driving at Sydney Motorsport Park sideways. I saw him do that after a V8 Supercar race in the wet here a couple of years ago. He is just so talented, doesn't matter what he steps in. And that just goes to show you how violent these drift battles can be. Thumbs up between the Giz and Woolhouse, and away we go. Oh, that's close. Very tight, and a spin for the Giz and contact. Big hit. Whoa.
Wow. Bit of contact there. Seems to be a bit of a lazy transition from Van Gisberg and forcing Fangadan into that contact there as the chase run. I'll be interested to see the replay there, Chad. It looked to just come out of nowhere.
Oh, it was such a slow spin. Look at the damage to the front end. Coolant leaking out, so there's definitely damage to the radiator and the cooling system on this car. They've talked us through it. It was such a slow, long spin.
Both close here as Fangadan chase, but it looks as if Van Gisbergen may have gotten sucked into this uphill section with his back wheels on that outside clip. And you can see there on the lock stops trying to pull that car back around for the transition, but unfortunately just a little bit too aggressive to try and climb a hill with that sort of power and that sort of angle at low speed.
Just ran out of lock, quite simply, and that's what caused the spin. So that's how they'll line up at the end of the day. I'll be very surprised if Van Gisbergen makes it out for his third place matchup against Darren Kelly, Woolhouse and Steedman to fight for the win. So Fangadan with some emergency panel beating. And let's hear from Shane Van Gisbergen and find out a little bit more about how that accident happened.
Yeah, we were all pretty excited, all the Kiwis, but yeah, I just made a mistake there. The chase was good and thought I'd try and put down a lead run, and he was sticking with me, but yeah, I just ran out of lock and spun and he had nowhere to go. So pretty unfortunate, there's a fair bit of damage, but yeah, we're going really good.
Yeah, it was definitely action-packed top four, but yeah, the thing that got us was first run was perfect. Came in on the second run as we came off the line over the hill. We had an intercooler pipe pop off and then had no boost at all through that whole section. Entered in third still, tried to stick with Dave, slapped back to second. Just couldn't stick with him, but managed to hold a good line up until the last clip and just straight line, so that pretty much counts as a 0 for us.
So bad news there, Shane Van Gisbergen out of the event, can't take place in his third place battle. So Kelly, right of screen, will be locked into third, and now it's about who will take the win. It's time to find out. Steedman versus Woolhouse. Away we go, it will be Steedman to the leaders in the Mimico Nissan.
Pretty aggressive entry there with Fangadan actually cutting the corner a little bit in the midline of the track. Will the judges look poorly upon that, as he is quite close in this top section here? An aggressive chase in the last half of the track, possibly ruined early on. As we'll see here, both drivers a little bit on the middle of the track, and then Fangadan cutting in just that little bit early and jumping a curb.
He'll know he's made that mistake. He will also know that he was right on the back of the Nissan at the end. So first half not so good, second half a lot better. And he'll probably know that out front he needs to throw it down. Let's enjoy the last race, the last drift for the weekend.
Big mistake there from Dave Steedman, going into that very technical outside clipping point, and unfortunately carrying a bit too much speed there, going that little bit wide, dropping both back wheels, which is a big no-no in drifting.
We know that outside clip is difficult. You're right on board with the Kiwi. Steedman right now just fell off the back of the road there, got the dust. That could be the difference.
Just to clarify, that is a key judging criteria. Both cars are meant to drag their rear end of the car against the track edge there, which is exactly what they've tried to do, but unfortunately, Steedman just being that little bit aggressive and handing the win to the man we can see on the top of the podium. Fangadan driving for Century's batteries and doing an absolutely fantastic job to round out what is an all-Kiwi podium.
Fantastic job by the New Zealanders. Let's hear from some of them now.
Oh yeah, man, I think it had about 14 mil toe out on that left rear, and we were trying to straighten it with pipes and everything like that, and I just said to the boys, nah, I'm just going to run it, I just want to get out there. So we left the car together, we didn't pull it apart too much, so we couldn't get back out there, but so I just said, this is our plan, we're just going to hit it, we're going to go hard. And what an awesome battle with Shane. It's, you know, I bet him about 2 years ago, and he came back for revenge again, and he bet me, so got him. Wasn't the way I wanted to do it, but yeah, it's awesome. And Dave and, you know, all the boys, all the team, New Zealand crew, just the whole trip, it's been crazy.
Dave, you must be thrilled to run a guy like this in the final round, and that was a huge battle.
Oh mate, couldn't ask for more, you know, come all this way and had such an awesome result. Huge, I take my hat off to, you know, Hi-Tec Oils and D1NZ for putting on this event. It's just a brilliant idea, and I hope it, you know, flourishes and we really keep it going.
So the points after 2 rounds look like this. Amazingly, Arbolino hanging on to that lead, but Steedman is the big surprise packet here. Woolhouse, Kelly, look how close it is between the top 4 guys. Just 4 points covering the lot, and still quite a few big names a bit further down the list. That was very exciting stuff. Congratulations to the Kiwis.
The very top of the D1NZ ladder came over here to battle it out on unfamiliar ground, and now we're sending the Australians back over there to battle on some of their home ground. Mike Perra Motorsport Park on March 26th and 27th, followed by Pukekohe on the 22nd and 24th of April. I mean, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, Anzac Day weekend. Thanks everybody for watching round 2 of the Hi-Tec Oils Trans Tasman Drifting Championship.
There's plenty more to come on today's show, especially if you're a fan of superbike racing. The opening round of the Swan Insurance Australasian Superbike Championship is ready to blast off for a new season, and it's coming up next.